Hi! Within this lecture, we're going to learn about some really cool built-in functions of Python that will work well with functions. So let me create a new notebook from here and change the name to practical functions, okay? So this will let us work with functions more efficiently in our projects. What I'm talking about. So let me create a new function for you and let me show you what we can do it more efficiently with that function. So our function will be a divide function, okay? So this will be a simple function. It will just take in a number as an input and just divide that number with 2. And of course, we have to return this to get an output, right? So if I say right now divide 10, for example, it will give me 5. So what if I have like a lot of numbers in a list like this? So let me create a list here, 1, 2, 3, 5, 4, 6, 7, 8. And what if I want to apply this divide function to my list? Okay, so I have to divide 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 and up till the end. So feel free to pause the video and do it on your own. Okay, I hope you managed to do it. All you had to do is just to create a for loop in here, like for num in my list, and divide num. Okay, so it will create a loop here and it will just divide everything by 2, of course. But we didn't print it, so we couldn't see the output. So let me just wrap it around a print function in here and say shift enter. As you can see, it divided everything by 2 and we got the result back. But what if there is a better way to do this without having to create a new for loop, for instance? We have this in Python, a built-in function called map, okay? And we're going to see how to use it and apply lists to functions, or apply functions to lists to be more exact. So let me mark this down first. Choose markdown from here and give it a hash and a heading. Okay, so our heading is map. So we will use map like this. So write map and open a parentheses, and all you have to do is just give the function and the list that you want function to be executed on. Okay, it's that simple. So if you just shift tab in here, you will see this documentation as well. So it gives in a function and iterables. So iterables mean you iterate through something. So we generally iterate through a list or list-like objects, but we are going to do it in a list. So you have to specify the function, which is divide, and then the list, which is my list. If I hit shift enter right now, it will just calculate everything and save it on a memory space. So this is saved at this space on memory, okay? But of course, I can just convert it to a list and hit shift enter. Now I have my results back in here. So I have exactly the same result as above. So I did it in one single line. Actually, what it is doing here is to create a new list here, like my new list, okay? Let me do it as an empty list. Then rather than dividing and printing this, it just appends these results to a list. So my new list dot append, and then later on, when it's finished, when the for loop is finished, it's going to print my new list. So if I hit shift enter, you see now I have the exact result in here. So what I did in 4 lines up here is done in 1 line down here. Okay, so map is really good, but you have to be careful with something. As you can see, we didn't put parentheses at the end of divide function like we generally do, because putting parentheses at the end means that executing this function. If we don't put a parenthesis, you see that your function is here, but if we put a parenthesis in here, it won't understand what we are trying to do and it will give us an error, because all we have to do is just give the function name, not execute it inside this map function in here. Okay, so you have to give just the function name, not with a parenthesis, not with an execution inside of a map function. So can we use map with string functions as well, like functions that control strings? Of course. So let me do our classical example here. Def control string, and this will take in a string as an input. Okay, and with that input it will just check that if string in, or if Metallica is in string. Okay, so in string, then if this is true, maybe we can just return true or print something, yeah, this is true. Okay, so I will just return true. Of course, if you want, you can just print something in here rather than returning true. Okay, so let me just check this out. So I will say control string and like Metallica, and with some nonsense in here. If I hit shift enter, then this works, it will return true. But if I say metal, it won't return true. Okay, actually I think we should do it like this. Rather than saying if Metallica in string, just return Metallica in string and just delete this return true thing, because Metallica in string is actually a boolean, right? It is either true or false. So if I do it like this, it will return false, so I can see the false values as well. And if I change it to Metallica, it will return true. So we did this before, you know how it works. So Metallica in string actually returns as a boolean. So now let's suppose that we have a list of strings, and within that list we have some Metallicas and not Metallicas. So let me create that list first. So my artist list is Metallica, for instance, and Madonna, and just write whatever you like in here, like Queen. Okay, and let me add something else, mega that, and add one last thing like Muse or something. Okay, so if I hit shift enter, now I have my list, and I want to just convert this to a list and apply this control string function to my list. So can I use map? Let's try and see. So control string, my artist list, and as you can see, yeah, we can use this with strings as well. So it works both with integers, strings, and whatever you want, as long as you supply a function and a list to it. So we now get the result of true, false, 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 false. So what if I want to get these elements that are true in a list? For example, if it really contains Metallica, then I want to take it and add it to a list. Of course, I can do it with for loop or something, but there is another built-in function. So let me show you what it is. It's called filter. Okay, so if we filter out these results, it will search within my artist list that is containing Metallica, and it will only display the results in a new list that contains Metallica or that contains whatever we want to contain. Okay, so we can just specify this in our control string function, and it will just filter out the result and apply it to a new list. So let me just show it how it's done. So all you have to do is just create a filter function in here, like in map, and we have to specify the function name again. So this is control string, and of course the list itself. So if you run this, it will just save it to a memory, and if you cast it to a list, you will see that it only displays Metallica this time. And it doesn't make sense. Let's add another Metallica in here, like Metallica 2, and it contains Metallica as well. So shift enter in here and in here, and if you hit shift enter in here, you will see that it displayed a list which contains Metallica in string. So now you know two great built-in Python functions, which is map and filter, and if you use them when they are necessary, then you will be doing a much more efficient job than doing it on a single for loop. So now let's stop here, and within the next lecture we're going to learn about something called scope.